10 True Lockdown Horror Stories That Will Haunt You Forever. Story 1. The man in the hallway. When the world went into lockdown, Sarah found herself completely alone in her apartment. At first, she enjoyed the solitude, but that changed one night when she heard soft footsteps outside her door. Living on the top floor of a secured apartment complex, she knew no one should be there. Peeking through the peephole, she saw a tall man in a dark hoodie standing motionless in the hallway. She backed away slowly, but suddenly, her phone buzzed. A text from an unknown number saying, "I see you." Terrified, she called security, but by the time they arrived, the hallway was empty. However, they discovered scratch marks on her door, as if someone had been trying to pry it open. She later learned that a tenant on the lower floor had gone missing the same night. Story 2. The glitch in the mirror. During lockdown, Liam spent most of his time working from home. One evening, while on a video call, he noticed something odd. His reflection in the mirror wasn't moving at the same time as he was. Brushing it off as a bad connection, he continued his call. Later that night, as he was brushing his teeth, he glanced at the mirror and his reflection smiled at him, but he hadn't smiled. He stumbled back, heart pounding. The next day, he covered all the mirrors in his house, but the eerie feeling never left. Strange things continued. Objects moved on their own, and sometimes, in the dead of night, he could hear soft laughter coming from the bathroom. Story 3. The apartment next door. Living alone in a high-rise, Daniel had never met his next-door neighbor. When lockdown began, he started hearing strange noises from the adjacent apartment, furniture moving, whispers, and the sound of heavy breathing. One night, curiosity got the best of him. He knocked on the door. Silence. He knocked again. Then, a soft voice from inside whispered, "Help me." Chills ran down his spine. He called the building manager, who arrived minutes later and opened the door with a master key. Inside, the apartment was completely empty, dust-covered furniture and a thick layer of undisturbed grime. The unit had been vacant for years. So who, or what, had been whispering? Story 4. The man on the Zoom call. During lockdown, Mia had frequent virtual meetings. One day, during a call, her coworker froze mid-sentence, eyes wide with terror. Then, multiple people on the call began screaming. Mia had no idea what was happening until someone typed in the chat, "Mia, there's a man standing behind you." She spun around, heart pounding. But her apartment was empty. Checking the replay of the call, she saw it. A shadowy figure standing in the doorway, watching her. She didn't sleep for days. Story 5. The locked basement door. With nowhere to go, Jacob spent lockdown cleaning his old family home. He discovered a door in the basement he had never noticed before, bolted shut with rusted chains. Ignoring his gut feeling, he broke the chains and pushed the door open. Behind it was a small, dark room filled with old furniture, and something else. On the far wall, written in faded red letters, were the words, "Don't let him out." That night, strange noises echoed from the basement. Jacob never slept in that house again. Story 6. The quarantine hotel. After returning from a trip, Emily had to stay in a government-mandated quarantine hotel. On her third night, she heard crying from the next room. Concerned, she knocked on the door. No answer. She called reception, but they said, "That room has been empty for months." The crying continued every night, growing louder and more desperate. On her last night, just before leaving, she slipped a note under the door. "I hope you're okay." As she walked down the hall, she heard a whisper, "Don't leave me here." Story 7. The strange notifications. Aaron's phone kept sending him alerts from his home security camera while he was asleep. Each notification simply said, "Motion detected in the living room," but when he checked the footage, the camera showed nothing but darkness, until one frame. A blurry figure standing in the center of the room, staring at the camera. He was alone in the house. Story 8. The shadow in the backyard. With lockdown in effect, Sophia started spending evenings on her porch. One night, she saw something standing at the edge of her backyard, just beyond the fence. A tall, dark figure. It never moved. The next morning, she found footprints in the grass. But they didn't lead anywhere, as if the figure had simply vanished. Story 9. The unknown tenant. While quarantined, Jason's landlord asked him to check the vacant apartment downstairs, a unit that had been unoccupied for years. As he entered, he saw a mattress on the floor, surrounded by half-eaten food, dirty clothes, and a single, handwritten note. It read, "They don't know I'm still here." Jason locked the door and never spoke of it again. Story 10. The online stalker. During lockdown, Anna started live streaming for fun. One viewer stood out, someone with a blank profile picture and no username. Every stream, they sent the same message. "Nice blue sweater. Your hair looks nice today. Love the way your couch looks." At first, it seemed harmless, until one day, they typed, "Why did you move your bed to the other side of the room?" Anna never mentioned that online. She closed her laptop, looked at her window, and realized someone had been watching her from outside. Final thoughts. Lockdown was a strange, eerie time for many. But for some, it was more than just isolation, it was an encounter with something truly horrifying. What do you think of these stories? Have you ever experienced anything unsettling? Let us know in the comments below. And remember, just because you're inside doesn't mean you're alone.